going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the General Geekery Podcast! This is, of course, the podcast where we love to geek out with all of we love to geek out about with... You ready, Hannah?
Yes.
No remorse.
No regrets.
And with all of the enthusiasm in the world!
This is the way.
Indeed. As always, I am your resident coffee ninja by day, actor, gamer, streamer by night. I am Donald Kaczynski. And with me, as always, my amazing co-host. She is our resident artiste extraordinaire, dice slinger magnificent, and self-proclaimed video game inept. She is Hannah Kubiak.
Hello.
And for those of you listening on audio, we have two very special guests with us today. Two returning guests. We have had them previously talk with Star Wars with us in the past. First off, returning from our season 2 Mandalorian discussion, we have the lovely and great Jennifer Vosters. Thank you for coming back, Jennifer. Appreciate it.
I don't know why I waved. I was waving at you. I was like, hello.
Hi.
Hi, everyone. I'm waving back. Yes, super stoked to be here. Thank you.
And also returning guest of ours from our discussion on Clone Wars, the awesome cosplayer and actor and just overall entertainer. I love this person to death. It is Evan Braun, a.k.a. Dark Pact Cosplay. Hey, Evan, how's it going, buddy?
Hello. I'm so happy to be back talking Star Wars. You can always count on me to talk about Star Wars.
and bless y'all for wanting to talk about Star Wars, because I've been waiting several weeks for this discussion. I felt like I had to wait a little bit to let things cool off, get fresh thoughts on it, and I think it's time. Let's talk about the Book of Boba Fett. So for those not aware, the Book of Boba Fett is another Star Wars spin-off title as a part of the greater Star Wars series. That is connected to, actually directly connected to the Mandalorian series by Jon Favreau. It takes place directly after where Season 2 ended, with Boba Fett essentially taking over the Hutt crime family syndicate on Tatooine. And we get glimpses as to how Boba finally escaped the Sarlacc pit. We finally get glimpses as to how that happened. And it basically follows Boba's journey to rise to power as the main kingpin of Tatooine. So
I hadn't realized that it was such a short time between him falling into the Sarlacc pit and the events of like the Mandalorian and everything. I guess I should have concluded as much because of just like the age that Luke was when we saw him and stuff. But you know, that's neither here nor there. I was like, oh my gosh, it's like just a couple of years, like
yeah.
Like 5 years.
Crazy.
Yeah.
5 years ish. Yeah.
That's
about.
I think they established that in the Mandalorian about how many years had passed since the fall of the Empire. So if it's around 5 years, then that tracks then.
Yeah, it's pretty fresh. It's pretty fresh.
Yeah, I figured at some point while he was like a prisoner of the Sand People, that the rebellion was successful and everything.
Yeah. While he's hanging out in Tatooine's dunes.
Yep.
The Sand People scare easily, but they'll return, and in greater numbers. That's my best Alec Guinness impression.
Totally, I was with you. Not bad.
Yeah.
Did you?
I was really impressed with the doling out how they showed Tatooine's Sand People culture in that whole, at least the first 2 episodes. It inspired me to at least want to create a Tuscan Raider OC cosplay at some point.
Let's go.
Oh.
Yeah, it was just really good costume design, and I really liked how they designed the culture, and it was one of the better moments of Boba Fett, because he didn't have too many good ones in that whole series, despite it being his title series.
I really felt like his relationship with the Tuscans was really like the soul of his arc for sure. I've just loved how between the Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett, we've gotten a very, very expanded and quite beautiful look at the Tuscans, which is really endlessly interesting to me, really exciting. And I felt like in terms of like a spiritual arc for Boba Fett, that was pretty fantastic. I really enjoyed those first few episodes, watching him come to a really different understanding of what life can be like by living with the Tuscans. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it was sort of the it fit into this category of movies that my mom and I call the Dances with Wolves story. So like The Last Samurai is Dances with Wolves in Japan. The movie Avatar is Dances with Wolves in space. This was Dances with Wolves in space again.
But they into sand now.
Yeah, but they into sand now. Yeah.
And drinking water coconuts.
Yes, and just sort of like that whole, I love stories about people, like people who are like basically just really lonely, being taken in by this group of people that they're completely different from, and just learning something beautiful from their culture, and like becoming a part of it, even like honoring it and respecting it. And just also the sort of, I loved the difference that they sort of drew between the life that he had before as a bounty hunter, like I don't count on anybody except for myself, and just you know, I work alone kind of stuff. I'm looking out for number one, and that's it. And then having his sort of growing relationship with this Tuscan tribe kind of teach him about community and everything. And I feel like that's really a well, not just in the COVID era, but just in the era of like social media in general, where we kind of are isolated almost. And I feel like a lot of people out there are really hungering for community and for, like, you know, brotherhood, sisterhood, etc. And really don't know where to find it, really. Like, just finding a family, because like so many families are broken these days as well. So like everybody, like family doesn't really end in blood, and I think we kind of get that here, is that, you know,
that they do die though.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
but still,
that,
like
I thought
he
it was
changed.
Yeah, but I thought it was an interesting choice, because certainly having, you know, an indigenous man playing Boba Fett, like, and then this really kind of clear storytelling moment of you know, the challenges that indigenous communities, even on Tatooine, face
colonizers,
with these really violent colonizing forces, like particularly with the Spice Runners, but even you know, beyond that, and seeing that moment of real triumph where Boba Fett assists them in standing up to these violent sort of interlopers and demanding a tax. That was awesome. And then the next episode, we sort of fell back into the trope of, okay, the foreigner has learned something meaningful from this tribal community, and then the community is slaughtered. And I was sad, like, because of the characters, but also just sort of like, oh, did we have to do that to the Tuscans? Now that
I feel like one
spent
of
all this time with them?
I feel like one of the main, at least one of the more leader-ish ones survived. I can't remember if one of them survived or not, and I was half anticipating for the final battle for them to bring like a whole tribe of Tuscans from like
Me too.
the next side of the Dune Sea over to
Yes.
help out with the liberation. Then there's
Me
this whole
too.
consolidation of the rural and urban coming together and realizing, oh, we've been treating these folks like crap, and the like a true consolidation, and then Boba Fett can be our true leader of Tatooine,
A true daimyo, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I felt like we, at least in Mandalorian season 2, we got the partnership with a different tribe of Tuscans and the people of Freetown. But yeah, I was totally expecting the Tuscans to return in the final episode, and was really bummed that they weren't there, because to me, like, that whole relationship was like the soul of the show. Yeah.
A missed opportunity.
Really?
If I'm not mistaken. So, as you guys can already tell from how we've been talking about it, we have a lot of moments from this series that we absolutely love, but it does come with its share of baggage. And it's kind of something that actually, in my recollection, is always just related to the character of Boba Fett, like ever since his introduction in Star Wars back in Revenge of the and Empire Strikes Back. Because comparing like Boba Fett today, how back then Boba Fett was like one of like the most beloved Star Wars characters of all time.
Oh my god, yeah.
Didn't he first show up in the
in the Star
special?
Wars, in the Star Wars holiday special,
showing,
in the animated version, that was his first introduction in the Star Wars universe. And like in all other kind of like spin-off media with like toys, action figures, the other movies, he became this iconic character.
Oh my god, yeah.
And
I think I read somewhere that the OG Boba Fett action figure recently sold for, it was like the original one that had like the shooting missile launcher that was deemed too hazardous for children, and they only made like 20 of them, and they're all prototypes. One of the prototypes sold for like $200,000. It is one of the most expensive Star Wars toys out there, and it's because he's so freaking beloved.
Yeah, I would not doubt it. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised. 200,000 for that. Honestly, and this is gonna sound really weird, especially coming from somebody who looks at toy collectibles and everything like that. I feel like it could actually go for more. Like, no lie.
Yeah, no, honestly, especially with Star Wars stuff, it's so popular.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but fans had such a deep connection to him from early on, even though he had like nothing to really do in the original trilogy aside from being like a menacing presence in the back and the guy that took Han Solo away.
The best way that I can really like describe it is like he's kind of deified in like Star Wars lore, kind of like how Luke Skywalker is for so many people. As like when people like think of like bounty hunters in like the Star Wars universe, if you ask any fan, depending on age, especially the older fans, like the generations before us, they would immediately, like without a shadow of a doubt, right then and there, Boba Fett.
Yep.
Iconic look, iconic character. Didn't really say much in the original trilogy, but he had a presence. And I think the only time, like, in live-action Star Wars that we really got this sense, like, that kind of, like, Boba Fett as being the legend, the myth, the badass before Book of Boba Fett was when he first partnered up with Mando in Mandalorian Season 2. When he first put the armor back on, it just goes absolutely... just boss on, like, this, on those Stormtroopers in Season 2.
Yeah, I remember fans that originally saw the original trilogy in theaters just went absolutely nuts. They're like grown ass men like crying.
There are reaction videos on YouTube. I've watched those reaction videos. There's so many different moments in that, and it's like, oh, that's the kind of reaction that you want. And so a lot of people were really hoping for that kind of stuff going into Book of Boba Fett. We did get a good amount of like good action stuff, but not all of it was from Boba. And I have to ask everybody, did this feel more like less of Book of Boba Fett and more of Mandalorian season 2.5 to an extent?
A little bit. I found that it sort of seemed like it was divided in half almost, because what is it? For the first 4 episodes, it's just Boba Fett, and we're catching up to where we are now in the Mandalorian, basically. And then after that, it's the last 3 episodes, 5, 6, 7. It mostly follows the Mandalorian and what he's doing and stuff, which was fascinating. Like, I was very interested in that, but I also in the back of my mind knew, I was like, this is the book of Boba Fett. I shouldn't be more interested about what's happening with Grogu and Din and everything. So I was kind of like, I was like, okay, this is awesome. I like getting this story. I like getting to see what the armorer thinks of him having taken off his helmet at some point. That was tense.
Yeah.
I want to talk about all that stuff.
Yeah.
All that stuff. Just, I love the whole like idea of the Mandalorian religion. But anyway, I digress. What was I talking about? Oh, I was saying that it seemed like it's sort of diverted and it wasn't really about Boba Fett anymore. It was more like the Mandalorian part 2. Like I kind of thought, I was like, yeah, this could have been something else, but you kind of had diverted it and everything. And like in this series, I shouldn't be more interested in
characters, right? Yeah.
a continuation of the other series. Yeah. So that was kind of my thought. Was I was like, okay, I'm not mad that I get to see what is going on with Grogu's training and the Mandalorian trying to figure out how to use the lightsaber and everything. Like I'm not mad. I enjoyed it. It was really good. I just don't. I kind of felt bad for enjoying it because I knew it was supposed to be the book of Boba Fett, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
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 So I was like, I shouldn't be like more interested now that we've gone back to the Mandalorian arc. Like I should be invested in Boba's story a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I think it fell flat just a little bit, was that they didn't really commit to the new story. They went back to the old story to kind of like the tried and true story and the tried and true characters and stuff. It's like they didn't really, it's almost like they didn't trust us to stay interested.
Because we already have the shiny new Mandalorian. We don't want the old Mandalorian.
Yes. Okay. As far as like cameos go and stuff, can we talk about the character from the Clone Wars and that shows up?
Well, we'll get to him.
Okay, because that was so insane. Like, oh man.
Because I have
one of my favorites.
2 of them actually.
Yeah, because we all have thoughts on it. I know we do. Evan and I'll ask Jennifer first. Jennifer, same question. Yeah. Did this feel more like a Mandalorian season 2.5 to you, or did you think there was more to Book of Boba Fett for you personally? I guess I'll ask.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to deny that it took an abrupt turn at episode 5 and then didn't really return in the way that I anticipated. I think I might be in a minority here. I was 100% engaged in the Boba Fett storyline, like from the top. I was in it. I was loving it. I thought it was a really awesome and kind of like subversive choice to really like take him on this sort of like spiritual odyssey as opposed to just watching him kick ass all the time. I really loved that depth. I thought it was a risk that was paying off. I loved the Fennec Boba relationship and wanted a lot more of that, and was excited when we started getting more. And then we had episode 5, which was completely The Mandalorian, and I found it honestly difficult to enjoy that episode on its first watch because I kept wondering, okay, but when are we when are we getting back to Boba? How is this tying back to Boba? And I found it really jarring. And then same thing with episode 6. I was like, when are we returning to the main story here? So when I've watched each episode 3 times. When I rewatched the whole thing so then I started at the beginning of Mandalorian again, and sort of with that mindset, I was like, okay, this show really is a companion show to the Mandalorian. And with that mindset in mind, I was able to kind of enjoy it a bit more, and certainly enjoy those 2 episodes a lot more, because I was able to sort of view them in like a 3-season arc, of which Boba Fett is sort of the companion piece. And that helped me really appreciate them more. But in terms of like structuring a show that way, I thought that was... I still question the judgment behind that. I think that it was, for most people I've talked to about it, just too jarring and confusing to be fully enjoyable at first watch. I think had they marketed the show as a companion piece to The Mandalorian, that may have been different, but it was certainly marketed as a standalone sort of manifesto for Boba Fett as a character. And I still felt like, you know what, there is so much potential in this Boba Fett storyline, this idea of this traumatized child become this fearsome bounty hunter, now become this head of a family kind of situation, recruiting bounty hunters to be part of his Gatra. I just thought that was so interesting, and I was like, we didn't actually need a 2-episode departure from that to still be interesting. That being said, I was impressed. I was very impressed at the way they were able to tie everything together in the final episode. It certainly wasn't perfect, but I was like, I went into that season, episode 7, thinking there's no way they're going to be able to bridge this gap, and I felt like they did. So I do think that they certainly flirted with the line of becoming Mando 2.0 way too heavily for my personal taste. And so that has made me really adjust the way I view the show and think of it. This is really meant to be kind of like a companion piece to the Mandalorian as opposed to its own thing.
Yeah. And and what I said before, I wasn't trying to say that the first 4 episodes were uninteresting to me. I was just saying that, like, I found it interesting, and then the shift was distracting in that it made me think about my own reactions as a viewer instead of thinking about the actual story.
Oh yeah,
if that makes sense. It was more like I shouldn't be okay with
shifty
this, but you know, I could always it's like I you know.
It honestly felt like a change from, like, it felt like we had like a chunk of live action Rebels episodes where we were just watching like one arc transition into another arc, and then the arcs kind of like meld into each other almost, you know?
I had that exact same thought too. I had that exact same thought, Evan. And that's kind of the reason why I posed the question, is because it was jarring for a lot of people, like, as the episodes were like airing week by week, and it's just like, okay, we follow this thing with Boba, and then all of a sudden, episode 5, it's all on Din Djarin and him being exiled from the colony. Like, wait, what?
Yeah.
What's happening on Tatooine though?
Right. Yeah. And I felt like they could have given him more meat to what was going on Tatooine too. Like, at the end of the day, he was trying to become daimyo. He was trying to take over Jabba's throne. That comes with the predisposition that you got to crack a few skulls, right? Like, when the mayor sends his crappy little assistant over to disrespect you twice, you don't let him live. You probably at least maim him a little bit, right?
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like his like complete dedication to want to get respect in a non-violent manner is it kind of diminished him a little bit throughout the entire series. Like, I get the whole idea of him trying to get past that era of himself, but I feel like the direction that he was trying to go and what he was trying to obtain, regardless, was going to result in some form of more violence, in my opinion.
Yeah. As a very conflict adverse person, I found his way of dealing with things. I was like, that's brilliant. Like all these people who were going to be a threat, like that Wookiee and the bikers and whatever. Like whenever there was some threat that came along, it was never like a okay, I'm just gonna kill you and be done with it. It was more like a not so much destroying the problem so much as like changing the problem, you know, like it kind of, okay, this is going to be an abrupt shift, and people might not like it, but it kind of reminded me of cancel culture a little bit, where you're like,
in what regard?
Well, where you're like, if somebody makes a somebody makes a mistake, or they get involved with the wrong crowd or something, they get led on to do something, and then they're basically just you're canceled, you're done, you don't get another chance. You know, it's like if you just destroy everything, that everybody who makes a mistake, or everybody who like goes against you at some point, like I don't think destruction should be our aim. I think that seeking to change another person's perspective and maybe or help them grow, actually, is what I want to say. Not so much change them as help them grow.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And I think that that's how you build community, is not by pushing away everyone who disagrees with you initially, but giving each other opportunities to grow and teaching each other what we have to offer.
Yeah, I really like that in regards to like how he treated the Modder gang in the series. Although I will say this is outside of like the story construction. When I first saw the Modders in the series, I instantly had to turn off the show. And it was purely from a costume aesthetics sort of side of thing. I saw the gal with the cyberpunk arm and the chromed out bikes. And I've never been so taken out of Star Wars in my entire life. I literally had to step back, come back to it a little bit later after a few more episodes came out. Just from a design aesthetic, it was so off. I get they were trying to get this whole rural versus urban thing, and those are the urban kids, but it just didn't fit Tatooine's aesthetic of being in the middle of a sand desert. Those bikes would not be that shiny. They would not.
I didn't mind like the bikers as a character group, but you're right. It was almost like a caricature of like punk in our galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like chic punk too, like you said. It did not fit.
It was literally a cyberpunk NPC, copy and paste.
but then again, and I also, to be honest, did not like the acting done by the two mods who actually spoke. Yeah. So again, and I was like, I don't believe for a minute that this young woman with too much eyeliner and fishnets talking with a very posh accent grew up a womp hop from here and knows how to fire a blaster like that. I just didn't believe it. And that was, I would say, in terms of design, that was a moment that took me out too. The whole thing with Star Wars, like from the very beginning with the original trilogy, is like what made it different is like space was dirty.
It's gritty. It's used. It's covered in oil. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And this, for the first time, was like, wow, this is not that.
Yeah. Even in the prequel trilogy where they return to Tatooine and everything's been chromed out throughout the entire prequels, they still knew to when you're coming back to Tatooine, crap's gonna be real dirty there. Nothing was nice. Even the nice, fancy pod racers are all covered in grime and dirt.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they're like assembled from like junk piles.
Yeah, exactly. Where are you gonna find these nice Coruscant looking speeder bikes?
Again, if they were meant to be like a group of rich kids, that'd be one thing. But again, they weren't meant to be that. They were kids who could not afford water, so they stole it.
Yeah.
And I totally agree. That was just questionable design. And all they would have needed to do to fix that was just like grimy it up a little bit, like put
Throw a little
yeah.
burnt sienna on their costumes, they'll be fine.
I felt like I felt like I was watching less of a Star Wars thing or someone. I thought of it less like. Oh, this isn't Star Wars. This is somebody just trying to do Mad Max very, very badly. That's what I felt like in that moment.
It might have just been because we had recently talked about this show or this movie, Donald, when we were talking about Batman, but it kind of reminded me of The Fifth Element just a little bit.
Oh my lord.
It kind of does. Oh my lordy.
This case is empty.
Oh.
No,
but
it's
again,
funny.
like contrasting though, like what you were saying earlier, Evan, like the design of the Tuscans.
Oh my
was
god,
so
yeah.
gorgeous.
Phenomenally
Oh.
done. Like instantly I watched that first episode and I sat down and I drew a costume up based off of like screenshots off of the thing, and then I saw that. It's like, gee, who got fired in the costume department or moved on or whatever, because it was not good.
This is like one of the only times I think in Star Wars like continuity that realistically the Tusken Raiders have been given like any form of like love and respect. And
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
that's saying a lot coming from a franchise that has spans multiple decades, several movies and spin-off media done by multiple writers and the like. So it's very intriguing to say the least.
Oh yeah, I hope they put more of that into. I think they're doing a season 2, right? I don't know.
I hope so. I want to
Yeah.
know more about everything.
I want to know more about that, where he got that branch and the tree and the nostril lizard
Right.
trip.
So cool.
That was so cool.
Oh my god.
I love it.
I want more of the Rancor.
Oh my god.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was excellent. I
That was
love
another
how
thing.
Boba
Why didn't
Fett
we
is like an
see
animal
him-
person.
Yeah, why didn't we see him like I know we had the whole Chekhov's Rancor where like he got the Rancor and therefore he's going to use the Rancor, right? But like where's the moments where he's like
Yeah.
feeding it or taking it out on a walk, like
Yeah.
there's some fun stuff in the Montanady of the universe, right?
Oh, absolutely. And that's why
Yeah.
I felt like those 2 episodes where we diverged, it was like it just wasn't necessary because there was so much to explore in the story that they had lined up. And don't get me wrong, it's the passion I feel for the Mandalorian storyline, especially when you bring in Luke Skywalker and Ahsoka Tano, is huge.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I just felt like I want to be able to fully appreciate those moments, and I couldn't quite do that on first watch because I was like, what are we doing here? And I gotta also say, like, I kind of question. We spent 2 seasons trying to get Grogu to the Jedi, and he called and reached out to Luke, and I just can't quite believe that Grogu's Jedi journey is done.
Yeah,
And
that
so
was,
soon. Yeah,
that may have been the biggest misstep.
but I'm not sure it's actually done. That's why I think they've set it up. I think they've set it up where it may not be done, but I just felt like that whole thing would have probably been better served waiting till season 3 of Mandalorian.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm the same opinion. I believe they jumped the gun on that one mainly because like we don't want to wait till Mandalorian season 3 to get all this. Let's just get this stuff in there. That's what it felt like. It felt like the wrong kind of fan service that you want to see from a series like Star Wars. And you know the kind of fan service I'm talking about. Whenever a giant franchise does any kind of like entry or stuff like that, it's like, we have to throw this in, we gotta throw that in, we have to keep this agenda and check out this box, this box, this box, we have to make a reference to this scene that a lot of people like from this past thing.
How Disney operates all its crap now.
Exactly. That's what I felt like. I'm like, this seems like blatant Disney pandering in Star Wars, and this is not a franchise that should be about. This is.
I mean, it already is pandering. It's you're getting a moment of Book of Boba Fett. It should be Boba Fett, one of the biggest like characters everyone's been waiting for.
Yeah, exactly. But and I don't know. It to me, too many flags were ticked for me to. Because when the Mandalorian subplot came back in like 5 and 6 with Jin and them, I partially checked out a little bit from the story because I'm like, oh no, don't Mandalorian season 2.5 this. But like Jennifer said, they did manage to tie it back in. But I do agree. We could have gone 2 episodes without introducing like the primarily focusing on Din Djarin.
Yeah, we could have just brought him. They could have just brought him in, like they recruited a bunch of other people.
Mm-hmm.
They could have just had. They could have just had that scene where Fennec shows up and says, "Hey, are you going to come and help us with this thing?" And he says, "Yep, it's on the house." And they could just recruit everybody as a montage, like in the Muppet movie.
You could have also you could have even kept episode 5 as it was, like this one episode departure to let us know why Din ends up on Tatooine, and then return to the story in episode 6, as opposed to then bringing Grogu and Luke and Ahsoka into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all so much. Like, you see one episode that, and you want another, like, 6. You know?
Yeah.
It's just so overbearing. Yeah.
That being said, though, episode 6 did introduce maybe one of my favorite scenes in the series, which I know Hannah alluded to this earlier. So let's talk about it right now. Cad Bane. We get the first ever live-action introduction to probably one of the most popular characters to be introduced in Dave Filoni's Star Wars through Clone Wars and everything.
Oh man, he's probably one of my favorite characters from the Clone Wars.
Mine too.
It doesn't help also that I love that sort of spaghetti western aesthetic.
Oh,
like Donald, we were just talking about that.
Such an old man.
He shows up at the town, and there's all like the heat haze, and he's got his hat and stuff, and they're like standing there in the middle of the street, like waiting to quick draw. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is great. This is like the Quick and the Dead in space.
And they got Corey Burton to voice him again.
Yes. Boba Fett is a ruthless killer who worked for the Empire.
Yeah. See, that was like, oh man, that whole exchange was like, this is the kind of tie-ins that we need. I mean, deep history with Boba Fett from when he was a kid. I mean, bringing reminding us.
Oh, he gave him the dent in his helmet. He shot the hole in his helmet.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Boba, was caught up with all these bounty hunters in the Clone Wars when he was a young.
It was an unaired episode of Clone Wars. It was meant to be a whole arc.
Yeah, it was one of the arcs that got unfortunately non-animated. I mean, we were lucky enough to get Bad Batch, but yeah, if there was any like story arc that I was sad didn't get animated, it was that one. Yeah, it was that one. I know.
But I just felt like that was so beautifully done, and reminding us, like, again, up to this point, Boba Fett does have this history of being a cold-blooded killer who worked with the Empire. Like, we kind of can forget that because now he's in this sort of heroic role that we saw from Mandalorian season 2 and then into this show. But it's like, he's got this, he's got this history. Yeah, he's got a history that needs to be reckoned with, and he's trying a new path, but that doesn't erase who he was before.
And it also showcased that Cad Bane, even being as old as he was at that time, because you take into account the amount of time that has passed since the Clone Wars into that, it's nearly over 2 to 3 decades, and he's still one of the fastest hands.
And he still looks great. I mean,
the thing is, his alien species too ages faster than humans too. So in whatever alien species he is, I think he's closer to his 80s or 90s.
Yeah.
Holy.
Which is nutso. I have to ask, do you all think that Cad's dead or no?
I would like to think no.
I would like to think
he
no,
has to. We can't keep killing people and not killing people.
That's Star Wars, baby.
I thought for sure he was dead, but I mean his little breastplate thing was still ticking. So
yeah, Toto 360, his little droid, is gonna come a running and give him a little
Oh my gosh!
I mean, I look at it this way. Cad Bane, from what we've seen in the Clone Wars, has gone through so much. He has He has killed
people through so much.
He's put people through so much. He has faced several Jedi, like multiple Jedi, on his own at the same time, and has lived to tell the tale.
Lightsaber too.
Wielded a lightsaber. Has survived death traps set by Sith Lords. Like, if there is anybody else in Star Wars that can be considered like the poster boy for a bounty hunter for the old heads, it's Boba Fett. For the new generation, it's Cad Bane. Specifically with the people that grew up with Star Wars via Clone Wars, it's Cad Bane.
Oh, yeah.
So...
I don't know, but more live-action Cad, though. I know he's an old man, but damn, that'd be so
well,
cool.
okay, he's only 71. Come on.
Tatooine belongs to the Syndicate. As long as the spice keeps running, all of you will be left alone. I want to learn to do that voice so bad.
He looked great. He sounded great.
I want to make that costume so bad. So bad.
Oh,
but I gotta make it with the big brimmed hat from like Clone Wars. It's so fun.
Yeah. Specifically the one where he assaults the it specifically has to be the hat that he wears when he's attacking the Senate and holding them hostage.
Yes.
Because
that hat or something.
Yeah. Somebody like touches his hat and he takes him out. I can't remember who, but I remember he's very possessive.
Yeah, something like that.
Yep.
And I would be too if I looked like that in that hat. I'd be like, yes.
It's the power of the drip will live forever.
Forever and ever.
That man brought long-rimmed fedoras back.
And yeah, so I assume that character was animated. I that's just my assumption.
There is a possibility that again, I have to look at like the makeup stuff and everything like that, but
either or it was like a puppet, like Grogu or something.
Oh no, it was prosthetics. It was
prosthetics?
latex makeup prosthetics. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That they used a live action actor, and I think they enhanced with some digital stuff. But
okay,
particularly for like the eyes and like the teeth, but like
yeah,
his teeth were so creepy.
They were.
The illusion.
It kind of reminded me of the mouth of Sauron from Return of the King.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
It was like the perfect kind of illusion that you want to achieve with CG and live action.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, I heard like a lot of people say that the animation was really bad, but I didn't mind. I thought it was good.
Oh my god, the deep fake Luke was so good. That was ridiculously good.
Mm-hmm.
He looked better here than he looked better here than he did at the end of Mandalorian.
Yeah, a lot better. Yeah. They hired the guy that made he did like a YouTube short of him just like redoing that whole scene, and I think they hired him on the spot. They just reached out to him and had him handle all the deep fake stuff that they do now, which is crazy.
Oh my gosh, so weird.
Talk about picking up a gig.
Can you imagine like going to see a movie and it looks like you when you were younger, but you didn't act in that at all? It's not you. It's like,
crazy.
I gotta say,
we won't need actual actors anymore.
Please, we don't need a Final Fantasy Spirits Within moment again.
I don't know, y'all. The ethical complications of this get me like spooked.
Yeah, especially with like Carrie Fisher or someone that's deceased.
Yeah, I think like it's one thing to have like a cameo. It's another thing if you start building a show around a performance that didn't happen, or at least not the way.
Yeah, it was.
It did. So
it was a vocal performance. That
and
was
again,
Mark Hamill.
Nobody loves Luke Skywalker more than I do. He's like one of the most significant characters to me, like across any storyline. Mm-hmm. I love seeing him. I love him, and also, I hope we don't lean on him too much moving forward, at least if you're not going to recast. If you want to have Luke, I think at this age, be the heart and soul of a show, or at least appear again and again and again, I think you got to recast. I don't think we can keep doing this with the deep fake. That makes me nervous.
There's so many great
Enter
options
Sebastian
out there.
Stan.
Yep, exactly.
Yep. Snap him up for the sequel.
I think it's at a point though that it's just too expensive to do anything feature length with that being a main character. It's just prohibitive at cost at this point. Just, technology always gets better, so who knows? It's probably going to lean in that direction at some point. Everybody wants to relive their Tupac concert,
Yeah. And I mean, if it's going to be like any franchise that takes advantage of it first and like jumps on it more, like, why not Star Wars? I mean, it's a franchise popular enough, and it's a franchise that I would say that it's almost like infallible to kill, despite people who have worked on it doing their best unintentionally. Looking at you, George.
I still think, again, just ethically, like, when you get that good, that you can make it truly believable that somebody is saying things that they never did. Like, if you're going to be investing in this as a mode of entertainment, then I hope you're at least also investing in ways to protect, like, to build up the security around this. I don't know what that looks like. I mean, that is way beyond my ability to understand as a technologically limited person. But I think if you're going to be diving headfirst into technology like this, then you are responsible for consequences and need to be working with the security side of it to make sure that this can't be used in a way that harms people.
Oh yeah, totally agree. And knowing with how proprietary Disney gets, you don't gotta worry about that.
That's true. You're right. You're right. At least that's one big thing about Disney. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, the aristocracy of mouse.
Oh man, I swear. In the future, we're going to be slaves to the triumvirate of Google, Disney, and Apple.
Oh yeah.
Or something.
No, it's not gonna be Apple. It's gonna be Amazon. Let's be honest.
Amazon. Yep, that's it. Yep.
Something I
Disney,
wanted to
Google, Amazon.
Yes,
they're going to rule us.
Yeah, something I wanted to bring up is something I noticed throughout this entire series is kind of how the shadow of Darth Maul still persists even through this series, even though he's completely dead.
Oh,
he's completely and utterly dead. He is dead. He's buried in the sands of Tatooine. But you, number one, have the Pikes, which he was were under his control in the Clone Wars and early parts of the Galactic Civil War. You also, I am completely convinced that the armor that the Mandalorian goes to was part of the Death Watch during Maul's reign as well too. Her helmet is so reminiscent of the look. I'm almost wondering if she's like involved with the Pikes in some way, shape, or form too.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, it just seems like there's such a strong undercurrent of all of these machinations that Maul has still made, and it makes me sad because I really love him as a character. He got the proper ending that he should have gotten, but it warms my little heart to see his deep and terrible plans still going on without him.
I mean, I have stated in many different Star Wars episodes before that the final duel between Maul and Obi-Wan Kenobi and Rebels stands as my favorite lightsaber duel in all of Star Wars, and again, like the best ending that Maul ever could have had in the extended universe. But since you brought up the influence that Maul had over it and about stuff going forward, I think now is just a perfect time as any. So, while Hannah is out at the moment and will probably rejoin us shortly, in terms of going forward, specifically in the Mandalorian set universe, there's another Disney Plus series involving Star Wars, which I will ask you guys in a moment, but with stuff like Mandalorian and stuff moving forward, what plot lines would you like to see more of and more details explained on? I would like to start with Evan.
The future series, especially so just in the Mandalorian, or
just in like the Mandalorian timeline. I know we all also want to talk about the Kenobi series, but I feel like that's going to be like its own separate thing. So let's focus on post-Galactic
Civil War era.
Post-Galactic Civil War.
I'm hoping that we have the Ahsoka series coming up. I hope it's a focus on her finding Ezra and Thrawn. That
Yes. Oh my gosh.
that is such a loose end that I feel like could get so deep and so powerful. I love Thrawn as a character. I feel like Ezra was just about getting to that moment where that Ahsoka had, where she became a fan favorite, but then the series ended, and he didn't get his moments of expansion, character, and depth. So I really want to see that. I want to see where they went, and I really hope it's in the outer reaches, and maybe we get some like First Order stuff too. Maybe potentially that's my hope.
Okay, Jennifer, how about you?
Second, all of that. Yep, I am like Rebels fans were winning, and
damn right.
So all of that, but I think what I'm really interested in with The Mandalorian is, and I think they're starting to serve this up, which I'm like, yes, is this idea of like kind of the for lack of a better word, like reconciliation of like the Mandalorians and the Jedi, because, and I think that might happen through Grogu, and I'm like, that's what I'm hoping we're going toward, is that, we have this Darksaber from Tar Vizsla, the one Mandalorian Jedi. We've hammered home how different those two groups are, even though in practice we see they have a lot of similarities. We know from the Clone Wars this really interesting history they had leading up to the Civil War. We know there's so much more to learn about what happened in the Great Purge and what happened leading up to that, and how Mandalore as a culture, as a creed, as maybe as a planet is very much in motion, and things are kind of leading toward a big effort to reclaim that with Bo-Katan, and I'm hoping Sabine Wren and Din Djarin and all these Mandalorians. So I'm really hoping that we dive deep into retaking Mandalore. So I'm hoping Bo-Katan and Sabine Wren again are big players in that, and I'm really interested in this idea of Grogu being a Mandalorian Jedi. Yes. I know that's really specific, and I'm like nervous to put all my eggs in that basket, but I think they're serving it up, and I think that would really satisfy me of how they are building the series. So yeah, I'm really hoping for some of that.
Yeah, like they said, he has to, like Luke said, you have to choose between being, like, you have to choose the lightsaber or the armor, and I'm like, ¿por qué no los dos?
Exactly.
Like, why? It's so
like
sad, like making this little kid make this choice, and you're like, I just want to be the best that I can be. And
I want to hang out with my best friend, right?
Yeah.
Right. And it sucks because, like, as much as we love Luke and everything like that, this is still in the timeline that he is trying to remake and reestablish the Jedi Order and the way of the Jedi. And as we've seen in many forms of media, the Jedi Order was extremely flawed.
Yep.
And I think, like, I like that we're seeing, I mean, Luke is already making some different choices than like what the Council is making. I'm really happy to see that. I'm happy they're honoring that. But yeah, he's still early in his journey. Like, he's not at the point where we see him in The Last Jedi, where he's able to really break away from the harmful parts of that legacy. So he's, of course he's still going to be caught up in some of the limitations of that thinking, even as he is succeeding in some ways in starting afresh. I think by offering Grogu that choice at all, that was several steps ahead of where the Council was pre Revenge of the Sith. But yeah, sorry, I took us a little off track there. But
no, it's perfectly
passionate
okay.
about it, y'all. I'm passionate.
Star Wars goes in different lanes, man.
Indeed.
It goes all over the places.
All right. We have a little fuzzy visitor. Hey, Kafka.
Okay.
So, Hannah, I know you walked away for a second.
Sit down or walk away. What do you?
So, Hannah, I know you walked away when I posed the question. So, in like the timeline of the Mandalorian, like post-galactic Civil War, now that Book of Boba Fett ended, what storylines or other loose ends are still prevalent in either Book of Boba Fett or Mandalorian that you would like to see continued on in like the extended Star Wars series going forward.
Man.
Like not taking into account the Kenobi series coming up.
I mean, mostly I just second what everyone else is saying. Like Ahsoka, I'm really excited about. I want to find out what happened to Ezra. I think, yeah, I want to see Grogu's Mandalorian Jedi journey. I think that would be awesome.
Yep.
I think that journey is going to be hundreds of years in the making. He's a youngie still. That might be a whole new trilogy.
Oh my gosh!
And like hundreds of years away.
Episodes 10 through 12.
Ooh, I know.
Money.
I'm also looking forward to. It was briefly mentioned. For taking off his helmet, he was like, "How do?" The Mandalorian was like, "How do I atone?" And they said, "You have to go to these mines or whatever." And I'm looking forward to that. Actually, that's sort of like,
oh yeah,
it's going to be a really spiritual journey.
Yeah, especially after the Night of 1,000 Tears, that whole place gotta be messy.
I love a good spiritual journey, guys. I mean, no, like when we talked about season 2 of The Mandalorian, like I was legitimately crying talking about the helmet and its significance.
Yeah,
and, like,
I know you and Jennifer especially got emotional
spirituality
talking
of
about
all of that. Oh my gosh.
I think what was so critical, and I know we don't have time to talk about all the stuff with that.
Oh no, don't worry,
like,
we got time. No worries.
Like what was so critical in this fallout from that was that even once he is excommunicated, he keeps his helmet on. He still identifies himself as a Mandalorian. He's still like, after all this, he still says, "I'm a Mandalorian. Weapons are part of my religion." Like, he has gotten to a point where he has ownership of his own identity as a Mandalorian, and nobody can take that away. And I think, like, as a person of faith, which we've talked about, Hannah, like, who is often at odds with the people in charge telling who's in, who's out. Like, that, again, is incredibly powerful and meaningful to see. And I think was absolutely the right call, as opposed to him, like, immediately taking off his helmet again and blah, 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 blah. Like, I think it was like, he's making peace with the way he is honoring the creed, which is beautiful.
And I think
yep. And I stand by what I said. I don't think he did anything wrong when he took off his helmet.
Absolutely
I think that it's
no.
I think it's for
silly rule.
Yeah, I think it is a, just because there's a difference between something being sacred and something being shameful, I suppose. Like, they almost think of like showing your face as a bad thing, but I think that showing your face as a Mandalorian is just a really it's a really special thing. It's almost sacred, and it's not very many people are allowed to see your face, and when they do, that makes it just all the more important.
Yeah,
it's like saying, you are so important to me that I'll show you my face. It's kind of like what is it in the Wizard of Earthsea, when you really trust somebody, you tell them your true name. You know.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it plays a lot into like what Bo-Katan said when she first met Jin, and said one of the extremists and stuff like that follows that. So there's definitely going to be like a big tie like in between like the two different sides of the ways of Mandalore. So we're gonna definitely get that explored a lot more like in future franchises. I think the big thing that excites me the most about Star Wars as it is now is also the same approach that Disney has with like Marvel at the moment, with like all these different side stories and television shows, and even with like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, like with the films like tying back into one another with like all these different varying plot points and films and stuff like that. For some people, it can be a lot. Don't get me wrong.
Oh my God,
and
yeah.
It is a commitment, but in an age of culture, in entertainment consumerism, where we are paying more attention to finer details and plot points, and we want more meat on the bones, and we are getting these interconnected like plot points in between like different series set in like the same kind of universe. I think it's a strong way of storytelling that honestly we're in the middle of like a storytelling kind of revolution in that kind of mindset in visual media on television and in film because of that. It's the finer points are still need to be laid out and explored in order to make things a little bit more less pothole in the road on the way, I guess is the best analogy that I can come up with. But everything will eventually iron out and hopefully create a beautiful tapestry of what we all can just stand back and appreciate and be like, wow, we were there and sat through and watched and lived through all of this.
It is crazy. Yeah. Whole revolution of how media is made.
Yeah. And and speaking of like that particular tapestry, even though it's not related to the Mandalorian timeline in Star Wars, the Kenobi series.
I've been waiting for this my whole life.
The Kenobi series?
Listen, the second I saw the promo shots of Darth Vader, I'm like, okay, all right, I'm in.
And the fact that is it, if I'm not mistaken, it's confirmed that Hayden Christensen is going to be coming back as well, right?
Yeah, he played
I think
Vader.
so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Can we give Hayden Christensen another chance? Because the moments that he got to be like Darth Vader, the moments he really got to shine in the prequel trilogy, he was spot on, and I'm sick of people giving him crap for that.
Listen.
It was listen, episode 3 was still good. You can't tell me
It was.
otherwise. Yeah.
I am the prequels apologist. Okay, I think, like, legitimately think they're great.
You showed your asshole on Twitch too many times, Cat.
It's like, you're not talking to me, are you?
No, the cat. He likes to stand up in front of me and then turn his butt to the camera.
I am deceased. I am deceased.
I'm just ready for this. I've been ready for this show since before it was ever made. I'm just really ready for it. I think it's going to be capitalizing on one of the things that made the prequels good, and that is Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh, absolutely.
And
I
think with better, George Lucas is a visionary, but he's not a great dialogue writer, as we know, and he's not an actor's director. So I think, like, Hayden Christensen, in the hands of good writing and an actor's director, like, is going to have a shot at being great.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I could just gush about it forever. So
Donald.
Yes.
We had a a look behind the curtain. We've already recorded our next episode. We had a similar, like, I have similar feelings about Hayden Christensen that I have about Robert Pattinson, where I'm like, just give him something to work with. Give him something decent to work with. And he's a good actor. You just need to let him be a good actor.
For one hand,
so a good actor cursed with an unfortunate series. I just want to see what happens.
I'll be honest, I wasn't super duper excited about the Obi-Wan series, mostly from a standpoint of, like, I thought, okay, what story is there to be told necessarily? Like, I thought it was going to be a very, like, dark and somber story of Obi-Wan being on Tatooine, essentially watching guard over a child, and I thought there isn't much room to, like, make something there. But now that they've expanded this out to be a story not only about Obi-Wan but the Inquisitors as well, and I'm hoping it's like a split view of seeing the early stage Vader, which I think there's a book that was written about early Darth Vader, about how uncomfortable he was with his prosthetics, how like the heel in his boot made him almost fall over and trip, and seeing that like the quirky, not as coordinated Vader would be interesting, and seeing the Inquisitors going out and hunting Obi-Wan Kenobi is definitely going to be an interesting point as well too. So I've definitely been rehyped for it now, or now freshly hyped for it.
And just once again, like, Rebels fans, we're winning.
Yep.
Yeah, we are winning.
We're just winning.
I think the main thing that like I think the main thing that I'm excited for. I had to reread this in order to be true, because they're also bringing back the actors who portrayed Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru in the in the prequel trilogy, and I'm like, okay, they're bringing them back. That's really good. So they have a starting off point with that, because I'm like, primarily he has to be looking over Luke growing up, like that's kind of integral to how Kenobi's going to follow up, but you can go more beyond that. And I'm very excited to see how they're going to do it. And I mean, if there's going to be any actor from the Star Wars universe that is basically going to have a one-man show all to themselves, why not have it be Ben Kenobi? Why not have it be Ben Kenobi?
He's such a great character and such an amazing actor. It just makes sense. I'm super pumped for that. Yeah.
And I think like seeing him have his Dark Night of the Soul is going to be, it's going to really connect dots that are great about like his, like the way we've related to the Jedi has shifted so much since they were first introduced in the original trilogy, and then the prequels, and then Rebels, and the Clone Wars. Like it's really peaks and valleys. So I think seeing him grappling with, because he was one of the premier Jedi at the height of their hubris, and then when we see him again as old Ben Kenobi, and especially when we see him in Rebels, see what I've risen above. He's clearly gone through this just tremendous spiritual journey that I, like Hannah, just love to see on screen. Like,
that would be very interesting to see.
I think the main thing about that was mainly because, like, and I was reading like extended Star Wars material, was like his relationship and his teachings under Qui-Gon. Because if I'm not mistaken, Qui-Gon Jinn, in my opinion, best represents like the Jedi. Without their hubris, like what makes them the best. He denied a seat on the Jedi Council because he was not one for the bureaucracy. He believed it was not the Jedi way to be a part of that entire system, which I think fits more in line with like how the Jedi views actually should have been taken. Because let's be honest, what caused them to fall? Like, politics killed them. Both internally and externally.
And
they allied themselves with the power machine instead of staying true to their tenets.
And they became enforcers and protectors. But at what cost?
And after Qui-Gon's death, like the only other Jedi that realistically has stayed true to that for himself was honestly Obi-Wan. Not even Master Yoda can accurately state that. So if there's any kind of Jedi that, if there was any one Jedi that that should be explored, it should absolutely be Obi-Wan, because in all the media that we've seen him in, like he is a poster boy, kind of in terms of like character approach, just very much like clean cut, strict to the code, everything. He is the model. He's basically the model of a modern major general.
I wonder
of Star Wars.
I wonder if we're gonna see that like model poster boydness though, like shatter a little bit in this, like the whole spiritual journey, the doubt, the regret. Like
Dark Night of the Soul. You got to fall apart before you could be remade.
Exactly.
I want a glimpse of that wavering. That waveringness of that resolve that we saw through the Mandalore subplot in Clone Wars, because honestly, the stuff with Satine and everything, and him going undercover faking his death was some of the best Obi-Wan material that we got out of Clone Wars.
Oh yeah,
because it showed us again he's a person. He's not just this perfect Jedi. He's not that at all. And that's what makes him interesting. That's what makes him lovable. And that's what made him and Anakin, love each other. I'm gonna cry now.
So, yeah, that's a lot of really good stuff that we got coming up, and honestly, there's a lot more. They have so much Star Wars stuff planned for the future that, honestly, I'm excited to see where everything is going, including in the video game side of things.
Oh my god, yes. The
Knights of the Old Republic remake.
Knights of the Republic. Oh my god. That game is the RPG of my life. I can replay that every freaking day of my life, and I'd be fine.
Hannah, I know one of the next things that we're going to be doing for Nepticon. I'm having you play Knights of the Old Republic.
It's just such a good story.
I'm going to have you play Knights of the Old Republic. I've already decided on it. Just right here, right now. Live on twitch.tv/RyuZaki MK7.
Cool.
Oh, can't wait. So, overall, Book of Boba Fett, final thoughts all around, we'll start with Hannah. Final thoughts on just Book of Boba Fett. I know we talked...
just final thoughts in general?
Yeah, just final generalized thoughts.
Let me do what I do and look at my notes and see what didn't get mentioned.
That's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I liked to see a good old train job in episode 2. That was pretty awesome. I liked seeing a Rancor as more than just a big piece of savage meat that wants to eat.
And it didn't die this time.
Yeah. I love the partnership that Boba has with Fennec. I love that they have this rapport,
Please give us more me not when, please.
Yep. And I love it. I love it when media or movies portray a platonic relationship. I really love it. I think we need more of that. So people know how to associate with each other. Just how to work together without things getting complicated. I like that. And let's see, the Return of the Mandalorian, the dark saber, you can't rely on your strength, and just how difficult it is for him to use the dark saber. They just in that whole fight in the butchery shop or whatever, the worst injury he receives is from himself, from not knowing how to use
realistic lightsaber fight ever.
Yeah, not knowing how to use a lightsaber. Yeah, yes, exactly. You're just oh my gosh, I forget that this thing is pure energy, and I just gouged myself by accident.
Laser.
It's a laser. Yeah. And let's see, what else? Oh yeah, and just Grogu having to make a choice, and when Din goes to visit him and he's not allowed to see him, and it just kind of brought me to the mindset of sort of as a Catholic, when someone enters religious life and they're cloistered, there are set times when you get to see them, and then it's just through a screen, and it's because they're devoting their life to something bigger than being attached to this world, and it's a big sacrifice in so many ways. And just I felt that pain of not being able to see, or visiting somebody but not really visiting them, not being able to not being able to give them a hug or anything, you know, like just that whole issue. I hated it, where he's like standing there and he's like he's right there, like I want to go and say hello and like see if he's okay, you know. And they're saying like, no, you would distract him from what he's working on, what he's supposed to be doing. And like just having to be selfless, I suppose. I mean he like eventually he decides to just like to go off without having seen him or talked to him or anything. And yeah, just that was really
gut
wrenching for me, I guess. Yeah, it was a gut punch.
Difficult. It was really difficult to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, to like. Yeah, when somebody decides to do, like, when someone's following a path like that you can't really understand, you know.
Hugging you in spirit. Hugging you in spirit.
Oh,
right
I thought you were telling me to like you're talking for too long.
No, you're fine. No, it didn't pick up on camera. I was doing a hugging motion. I was hugging you in spirit.
Fine, Donald. I'll just stop crying and pass it on. You know.
No, it's okay. You were having a moment. I didn't want to interrupt. I'm sorry. I was actually trying to hug you in spirit. I'm actually being sincere.
Yeah. No, it's okay. But
I'm gonna hide in my flannel now.
Yeah, that really hurt. The whole like to find a higher purpose, you have to give up what might be important to you in your like in the world, because you know there's something more important than just you and what you want, I suppose. Like your life is not about you. Mm-hmm. And it's really painful to realize that, I guess.
All right.
That's me.
I will let you choose who to pass the torch to on final
Book
thoughts.
Closed. I don't know. I don't know. Jennifer, I think it's you. I think every time you come on the podcast, I just start crying about something.
Aww.
Okay. So yeah, Jennifer, I'm gonna pass it to you.
Yeah, final thoughts on the Book of Boba Fett. I really liked it. I really did. I had a good time with it. It confused me how it was structured. I think there were opportunities to go deeper that they did not. And I'm cautiously optimistic, but a little confused about implications for the Mandalorian moving forward, particularly like with Grogu's storyline. But I had fun, which is what I was most looking forward to with this show. I went into it having no predictions, not really having any idea what we were going to get, just expecting it to be fun, and it was fun. And I would absolutely love a second season, especially if it really did focus on Boba and Fennec. And it certainly makes me excited about future Mandalorian things. It's always a pleasure to see Din Djarin on screen. And I thought, especially when we finally got to see him team up with Boba in the final episode, incredibly satisfying. Incredibly satisfying. Yeah, that I think kind of sums up my sort of takeaways from it. And I'll just reiterate what I said at the beginning that I think got cut off, but we are living in a blessed time as Star Wars fans. There's so much good content, and I'm just really happy to be alive and a fan right now.
Mm-hmm.
Big same.
Evan, would you like to share your thoughts, my friend?
Yeah. I guess one of the main things I want to bring up. So my partner was not really too interested in the story of Book of Boba Fett to begin with, or Boba Fett's character at all. I just wanted to bring up the fun fact that I literally had my partner start at episode 5. So I think that was the Return of the Mandalorian. And complete the entire series, and because I think it was in episode 6, Fett gives like a whole summarization of the previous events of the other episodes, and it worked perfectly fine. So you literally could break down that part of the show into its own finite small bit of piece of media, which is kind of funny to me. But the reason I bring that up is because I really appreciate episode 5, The Return of the Mandalorian. I feel like the cinematography of it and the direction of it was so fantastic. As Bryce Dallas Howard that directed that episode, she's directed some of the best episodes in The Mandalorian too. I'm pretty sure she did which one was it? I think it was she did The Heiress, which is when Bo-Katan comes back in. She also did Sanctuary, which is when Mando defends the village from the ATST that was reclaimed by some raiders. So she has a fantastic mind.
Lady in the Water.
Oh my god, yeah. I just think about the one single shot that she did in that episode where it's Mando coming in after he claimed the bounty and is carrying the head in the bag, and you get the single shot of him going through the space station, the Halo space station, and you get all this beautiful look of the station and the montanity of it, and him getting out, going and leaving, and like him getting onto an air or like a spaceship passenger thing, and he's putting away his weapons, and you think, oh god, this is such a MacGuffin, like he's gonna lose the dark saber or something like that, and he freaking gets to his location, grabs his suitcase, and there's nothing up. It's just this beautiful little like window of him getting from point A to point B, but it's like beautifully well done. It's gorgeous, and there's little fun moments in it. Him building the hot rod spaceship too in that episode, it's just so fun and beautiful. I really hope that more directors take that side of embracing the beauty of the montanity of the universe and realizing not everything needs to be blaster fights and lightsaber battles. I think that will greatly expand the universe out to other folks that are interested in it. Overall, I loved it. It was great. Great show, great series. There was just that disconnection between like episode 4 to 5. They did tie it back together, and I think as an overall package, it was a really good piece of Star Wars media. I feel really bad for the Boba Fett fans. They deserved more, and Boba deserves his own series where he doesn't have to be piggybacked to any other character, really. And I really hope we get that in a second season for him, for sure. Once again, if they would just stuck with these, like there was all these themes of transformation and growing and becoming something else. You had that with Grogu and Mando and Boba. I just wish that Boba would have had as strong as a transformational moment in the series as the other two did. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing that. I guess I'll finish tying the knot on this one. Like you guys, I did enjoy Book of Boba Fett very, very much. Despite the flaws that we have stated, despite our personal misgivings about some things that were taken, the disconnect, how the story felt disjointed at times, sometimes a little bit too much over-reliance on the Mandalorian storyline. That's my personal thing. But overall, I appreciate more than anything in whatever form of fictional media, and I've said this numerous amount of times, I appreciate world building more than anything in fictional media. And Book of Boba Fett continues to build this extended Star Wars universe that has basically been curated by Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni and all the wonderful writers and directors that are writing for Star Wars now that are taking the ball and going with it. And we see so many old faces returning to Star Wars for the first time in years. Like, when I heard that Temuera Morrison, who did Jango Fett and the clones in the prequels, and even voiced Boba Fett for the re-releases of Empire Strikes Back years ago, was returning to finally portray Boba Fett, not just in Mandalorian, but in Book of Boba Fett as well, I was over the moon. That, again, Star Wars is a franchise that has so many, like, beloved, like, moments where you see somebody return to it and your heart just grows with care, appreciation, and just joy. And whether things live up to your expectations or not, or you don't like how a certain direction goes for it, at the end of the day, we love this universe, this world, this galaxy far, far away, that we keep returning to it, and whether it's something we love, something we don't like, something we hate, or we're more passive to it, as long as we are enjoying the ride and being appreciative of what we have been given, I think at the end of the day, that makes for a strong universe, a strong creative media, and overall is a gateway to very strong and very beautiful storytelling. So, Book of Boba Fett, it was a bit rocky, but what you have given us, the moments that we do appreciate, my goodness, we appreciate it. And thank you to Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni and all the wonderful people in charge of Star Wars for giving us Book of Boba Fett again. Can't wait to see what you guys do in the future.
Could be.
Anybody else have any last minutes stuff to add before we wrap this up for our audio listeners? I think Kefka wants to say something. I heard the little one meow.
Why are you so annoyed?
Live viewers, behold the Kefka.
Behold!
Behold!
The Underminer!
Kefka's like, there should have been more Fennec Shand. Yes, we all agree.
I am deceased. And with that, I think we can wrap this discussion up. What do you guys feel like?
Yeah, I think so.
Mm-hmm.
All right, for those of you listening audio-wise, thank you so much for listening to this episode of the General Geekery Podcast, episode 110. My goodness, we are in triple digits now. It's still a little bit jarring even after all these episodes later. We appreciate you guys for listening in, and we appreciate you guys watching live with us right now. Whether you've been talking in chat or whether you've been silent, we appreciate you guys as well. Thank you to Evan, Jennifer. Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. Wonderful to have you guys back again. If you guys want to share whatever you guys are doing, please do so. Jennifer, what are you doing right now? What would you like to share with us?
I'm newly relocated to Chicago. I'm a new cat parent. I will be working at APT again this summer in Spring Green, Wisconsin. So that is sort of on the horizon for me, starting in the beginning of May.
Awesome. Where can they find you on social media?
On Twitter, I'm at JA Vosters under the title Obi-Wan Kenobi. On Instagram, I'm at Vosters Jennifer, spelled out. And I'm not doing anything interesting on Facebook, so you can just poke over to Instagram and Twitter if you want.
Awesome. Evan, where can they find you, and what are you doing currently?
So I go by as Dark Pact Cosplay and basically everything: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, Patreon too. My dad went by Qui-Gon Tim, so I appreciate that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
He loves Qui-Gon Jinn so much. What am I doing right now? So right now it's con season for me, so I've been hopping around to different cons. The next one I'll be at is ASIN, which is in Chicago. I'm based in Chicago too, Jennifer, so we'll have to hang out. Yeah. I live in Edgewater, so we should hang out.
Lincoln Square, perfect.
Oh,
Yeah.
hell yeah, nice. So I'll be at ASIN for sure. I'm also streaming right now. So I'm doing an Elden Ring run right now, so you can find me on Twitch, Dark Pact Cosplay. I usually do like Friday nights around 7 p.m. I might add in more days. I've been obsessed with that game lately. And those are the big things. I got a couple big costuming projects coming out, but if you want to know more about that, check out the socials. I'll be showing build logs and things like that.
Awesome. And definitely go check out Dark Pact Cosplay. Just in terms of Evan playing through Elden Ring, I love watching your experience playing through that. I think the Soulsborne series from Software is like one of like the best like single player viewing experiences that you can have, and
It's fun.
And also check out all of Evan's different cosplay photos. Like it's not just Star Wars stuff. He's done so many great cosplays. I still love your Witch of Angmar. I still love
your Witch King is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Thank
fantastic.
you.
It just oh man.
just
Toiled in a garage for months on that.
Oh, I bet. That's a lot of metal. That's a lot of metal to reforge. But again, thank you both for joining us tonight. I greatly appreciate it. For those of you watching live and listening on audio later on, thank you so much again for listening to this episode of the General Geekery podcast. If you like what we do here on General Geekery and you want to listen to more, we are wherever podcasts can be found. We are on Spreaker, we are on Spotify, we are on Apple Podcasts. And if there are episodes currently missing on those streaming platforms, worry not. We have the entire audio playlist available on YouTube at youtube.com/Anime Revolution Productions. I will have the link to that playlist in the description of the audio version of this episode. If you guys want to support the podcast in whatever way possible, you can pledge to our Patreon at patreon.com/General Geekery, or you can donate to our Coffee page as well. Links to that are in the description of the audio version of this podcast as well. And if you guys want to follow us on social media, you can check us out at General Geekery on Instagram and at Gen Geek Podcast on Facebook and Twitter. And if you guys want to check out me and Hannah on our respective socials, you can check Hannah out on Instagram and at Pythian Legume. I am on Instagram and Twitter at RyuzakiMK7. I also stream on Twitch at RyuzakiMK7 as well, which is where we are broadcasting live right now with this episode of General Geekery. And you can check both me and Hannah out playing D&D over at Loaded Dice Adventures on Mondays and Wednesdays as part of me and Hannah doing the secondary campaign Avenaria Corsairs, and Hannah doing the main campaign on Mondays, Avenaria Awakenings. Go check them out.
Because I am insane.
Go check them out. They're amazing people, great friends, and love having a great time with them.
Yep.
Well,
I have another thing.
Yes. What's up?
Yes. Also, I do art, and people have told me that I should tell people about it.
Yes.
I'm on DeviantArt. It's Dolman Bright, which I will write somewhere because it's hard to spell. Like every good social media platform, you really want people to find. It is difficult to spell. For
those of you watching live,
it's in the Discord.
Maybe with the cone head.
Yep. For those of you watching live, Hannah did the background coffee shop art that is currently on stream right now that I am currently using. So
yeah, good plug. Yeah.
Yeah. So she does some amazing art. I have commissioned her a lot of times in the past before we started up General Geekery. She did the steampunk devil poster that I have right behind me. This entire painting.
That's where my journey of creating commissions began.
So please go check out her art, please. She's great.
Yes. Yeah, Evan, there's a Darth Maul on there that you would really enjoy. It's one of my favorites.
Oh my god. I think I might still, I don't have my phone on me, but I think I still have that picture of the Clone Trooper helmet with Vader's reflection in it when we did the Clone Wars episode.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that's still my background.
I love that so much. And for those of you that are followers of the General Geekery podcast, April is coming up. And Anime April is nearly upon us. Just wanted to give you guys a quick little update on things going on for that. We are having another audience interaction for this upcoming Anime April. We have a list of 5 different anime films that you guys can choose to have us watch. And we will record an episode on our thoughts about it, and I'm still trying to work out the details on it. Me and Hannah might even record our live reaction to it, which will be available in video format, either on Patreon or on YouTube. I still have to work out the fine details on it, but that's some of the stuff that you will be helping support if you pledge to our Patreon and our Coffee page. So, muchas gracias. Can't wait for Anime April. 3rd year in a row doing this. It's one of my favorite times of the year. And I hope you guys can join us for that ride as well. For those of you watching live, we're going to have a little bit of a post-show discussion. If you guys want to ask us any questions, please save it for that. But for those of you listening on YouTube and everything like that, thank you so much. This has been episode 110 of the General Geekery podcast, talking all about the Book of Boba Fett with our special guest, Evan Braun, a.k.a. Dark Pact Cosplay, and Jennifer Vosters. Again, guys, I can't say this enough. Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate you both so much.
A great time. This was so much fun.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Always welcome back. Always welcome back with open arms, open doors, and hopefully sometime soon, a fresh pot of coffee made by me.
Oh, yeah.
One day. So, for Hannah Kubiak, for Evan Braun, for Jennifer Vosters, I'm Donald Kaczynski. Until next time we see you guys, keep your blasters holstered. May the Force be with you. And always remember to keep your geek on.
Always.
Always.
Clink, clink.
Clink, clink. Teacup,
Clink.
wine glass.
I prepared it.